All right. This is Bootstrapped Web, episode 39, where we'll be talking about the things that we do manually in our businesses and why. It's the podcast for you, the founder who learns by doing as you bootstrap your business online. I'm Brian.
And I'm Jordan.
All right, Jordan, let's do this. So,
all right, let's kick things off with a bit of an update. Brian, why don't you let us know what's been going on the past week?
Yeah, and by the way, this is kind of exciting because this is the first time we're trying out doing the podcast on a live Google Hangout, which not only kind of gives us the ability to maybe down the road have live people join in the show, but we're actually going to be recording the video, and we'll be adding this YouTube video to the post for this episode at bootstrappedweb.com/39, and we'll probably do it for a number of the episodes coming up as well.
That's right. Look at us innovating.
That's right. Cool. So yeah, let's get into updates. September, man, this has got to be the craziest month, or it's going to be the craziest month for me all year long. Just in terms of, it's just so hectic. I mean, I am in full production mode on this course called Productize that's coming out. I'm aiming for October, like mid to late October for a launch date, and that's going to be at castjam.com/productize. So right now I'm kind of hustling to write all the lessons and shoot all the lesson videos and get those edited. Not to mention I'm writing about 3 guest blog posts that are coming out on various sites over the next couple of weeks. I'm writing posts on my own site. So there's that. That's taking up almost all my time. And not to mention one of my employees for Restaurant Engine is now on maternity leave for the next couple of weeks. And she was the one who kind of handled a lot of those sales calls and consultation and onboarding calls. So now I kind of have to cover for that right now. I don't really have any backup options. So every day I need to dedicate at least like 1 or 2 hours to catch up on all these sales calls and follow up emails and make sure all those leads are processing through our funnel. This is stuff that I never really used to. What's that?
You're back on the front lines.
That's right. It's actually kind of exciting. It's fun. Like the first few calls, I felt a little bit rusty. It's been about 6 months since I was the primary sales call person, but now I'm that guy again. So it's.
I think it's good for you. I did the same thing early in the week. I did a sales call and was rusty, and it just did not come out well. And then by the end of the week, I had done a few more, and then it feels good, and it works. So no, it's good.
You know, it's funny because this month I have decided to like really focus on working on this course. And that's kind of the priority, and that kind of unfortunately means that whatever I wanted to do with Restaurant Engine, like new initiatives, product updates, marketing, that stuff kind of needs to get put on hold, at least until probably November. I do have things that I plan to do, but right now it's kind of in let's maintain the current growth rate, hopefully.
Yeah, that's not a bad situation, though. At least right when you stop working on it or stop focusing on it, it doesn't dry up. It still has a life of its own and momentum of its own. So you're still going to be picking up new clients, but not pushing new initiatives. It's not too bad of a situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's moving along. So, all of that is going on. Not to mention, I do have a 6-month-old at home, and my wife and I are both kind of, working part time, and I'm working part time as well. I'm home, 3 days a week, watching her / trying to get a little bit of work done during some naps, which are less and less these days, but. So it's just incredibly hectic. It's not like a couple of years ago when, without the baby around, I could have just did all these like late nights, working on the product and things. That's not an option anymore. So I got to squeeze it all into a couple hours a day.
That's tough. I have gotten into the terrible habit of just staying up late. So I've just been staying up till 2 a.m. and then the kid wakes up at 6 and I'm just an angry mess in the morning. But hopefully that comes to an end.
Yeah, no, that's I've been getting to bed by like 9:30, 10 o'clock. I feel like a senior citizen at this point.
That's smart though. You never regret that, and you always regret staying up till 2. Good, man. So you got a lot going on. We'll be here for you for September when you need us. It's gonna be a big month, but still.
Yep.
Exciting. Yeah, I'm excited to see what you come out with and how you promote Productize and how you use guest blogging to do it. So will be very cool to watch.
Cool. So Jordan, what's up with you?
Oh man, let's see. Yeah, it's the beginning of September now, as we record this. So I spoke previously about how I wanted August to be clearing the plate, strategizing, and then September, action. So that's the transition I'm in right now. My plate isn't 100% clear, but it's mostly clear, and the strategy is set. So what I've decided to do is instead of trying to make progress on all fronts at once, on the consulting and the info product and CardHook, what I've decided to do is just focus on one primarily, and that's going to be CardHook. And
That's the SaaS product.
that's the SaaS product. That's right. And and the way I'm doing it is I basically am working with my tried and true consulting customer and just doing a bunch of work for them. And that's actually my father and my brother, the family business, and they always need help. So I basically went to them and said, look, let me do a whole bunch of work for you guys up front instead of over the next few months. Let me just do it over the next 2 months. That way I have income coming in for the next 2 months and I don't need to do any marketing, right? And what that will do is it'll give me the time and headspace. I think the headspace is more important than the time to focus on CardHook. So that's kind of what I'm doing, and it feels great to make that decision and have that going forward. Earlier on in the week, last week, before I kind of settled on this, I was on the entrepreneurial roller coaster, right? And I talk about this with other entrepreneurs. It's not like you have a bad day and then you have a good day. It's like you have a super high and then a super low, and that happens like 10 times in the same day. Yeah. It's not like I had a bad week versus I had a good week. It's very, very up and down, and the highs are very high and the lows are very low, and I was kind of going through that for a few days, and I was just exhausted by it. I think it also had to do with me not sleeping well. Whatever it is, I had moments of, I'm so excited, this is all going to work out, it's going to be huge, everything's awesome, I'm smart, it's going to be great. And then, an hour later, I would find myself just depressed and pissed off and feeling guilty about my productivity. It was just this roller coaster that just did not feel good, and I kind of diagnosed it as scatterbrain, for lack of a better word. I really just had too many things that I was trying to accomplish, and I wasn't making enough progress on any of them. And so I said, that's just not smart. Let's pick one, the one with the most leverage, the one where I think has the best long-term future. And now I just feel clear. I just feel like, okay, I'm going to be able to do this. I'll map things out. It's not 1 hour a day. It's a whole day spent on this, and then so over time, I really look forward to making a lot of progress on CardHook and sharing it here with the podcast on what I'm going to be doing, from launching the sales funnel and the autoresponder and the landing pages, and then running ads to it, and then starting the blog, and just kind of developing the marketing system for it over the next 4 to 6 weeks, and just kind of sharing everything here.
That is, I can't wait to hear about all that stuff. That's been, for me, just knowing you in the mastermind group and everything, how you just execute on these plans once you lay them out. That is going to be very exciting to listen to. I just want to comment on, that whole headspace idea. I really like the way you put that, because I've been there. So many of us have been there. I'm there today, But I think that even if we can be superheroes, and a lot of us think that we can be superheroes, and we can even plan out our day and work late at night and fit in all these different tasks into a day. And sorry about the siren outside here, but we can fit in so many things in one day, 10 different tasks, and we can use all these productivity hacks and all these different things. But it's something about that headspace. When you have so many things on the burner, you're not driving towards one big goal. You're driving towards 5 big goals, and then they all get diluted. And I've been killed by that. I talked about it multiple times on this podcast.
Right, and it's not strategic. You end up just doing things and tasks. Like, I'll get through 10 tasks a day, but then when I look at something important, when I say to myself, create PDF lead magnet to offer as lead bait on the site, that's genuinely important. That moves the business forward. That helps me capture emails. And that requires more than a 15, 20-minute task. That's 2-3 hours. And if you don't say strategically, this needs to get done this week, then you don't set aside the 2-3 hours of uninterrupted time to get that done. And then by the end of the week, you say, I did stuff all week, but I didn't move forward. So that's really what I'm trying to avoid. And I can't help but bring up, I listened to Tim Ferriss, his podcast earlier this week, and I don't know if it's a recent one or I just caught it on Stitcher, but he talks about, Tim Ferriss is essentially the modern equivalent of Superman. But the guy he's ridiculous.
Yep.
And we all admire him, and he's an amazing guy. But he talks about how he kind of lost his way over the past few weeks and months, and he was unproductive and feeling guilty and just the exact same things that we deal with. And he kind of wanted to make sure that he humbled himself to the audience and just say, look, man, people who accomplish big things, like you might think, I'm a Superman, I accomplish big things, they're just like you, and we have the same issues, and I'm human, and I just want to admit it because I think that'll help you understand. I feel the same exact way that you feel right now. It's just that I have planned out these certain things that do move me forward. So
yeah, and just a quick one more note on that is, the sleeping habits and everything, and just general health habits. It's so easy for entrepreneurs to ignore those things. They do take time, and they're not necessarily revenue generating activities, but you know what, they are, and the more I remind myself of that, the better off I am. I mean, for me, it's waking up super early, and for me, super early is like 6 a.m. I used to wake up at like 9, 10, whenever, and working out every morning, and it's incredible. Like literally, like the days that I work out, I'm 10 times more productive. And sometimes like my muscles are hurting or whatever, and I don't get to work out in the morning, I'm just all over the place. Like the same deal, scatterbrain throughout the day. But the days that I do, things get done. That's all I know. So, as long as I remember to keep doing that.
Yeah, and I ignore it and I make excuses for it, and maybe it's time I give it a try. And I'm all settled now in the house in Portland, blah, blah, blah. No more excuses. And I stopped co-working. Now I'm working at an office from the house. I do have the extra time. So maybe I'll incorporate that in, keep you updated. Maybe that'll be a motivator.
Cool.
All right, excellent. So before we jump into the episode on what we do manually in our business and why, and I think it's an interesting topic for web professionals, why don't we take a second to talk about a comment that we had on episode 37. That was the Thinking Big episode. The comment came from Melanie Richards, and she said, I just wanted to let you to say that it feels like you guys are reading my mind. Another episode spot on with some thoughts that I've been having. Plus, I'm totally going to rip your weekday goal planning in Trello. Love it. So she's talking about your Trello magic, Brian. But yeah. Melanie, thank you very much for the comment. And what else, Brian? I think we had another 5-star review.
Yeah, we got a new 5-star in iTunes. Thank you to TK Boris 1, who said, real and true insights for startups. I'm amazed at how true advice is found not in business magazines, but exclusively in podcasts like this one. I benefited and continue to with each episode. Well, I couldn't agree more with that statement. And
smart man.
And thank you so much for that iTunes 5-star review. And for those of you out there, if you're enjoying this, please head over to iTunes and leave us that 5-star review. You don't necessarily need to leave your feedback, but we do appreciate it. We'd love to hear from you guys, whether it's comments or feedback. And actually, just yesterday, I went around to like 5 or 6 of my favorite podcasts and made a point of giving them the 5-star. I don't do that often enough, so it was good to do that.
I like that. I like that little karma deposit. I think that's good. Yep. And people deserve it, man. I've been a podcast freak for a long time. So cool, man. So let's jump into the topic, and that's doing things manually.
All right.
And when we decided to talk about this, I couldn't help but think about Paul Graham's post on doing things that don't scale. So Paul Graham, we all know, YC, Y Combinator guy. Obviously incredibly successful and well-known and everything. So I thought it was amazing from someone who's like the godfather of internet startups to talk about doing things that don't scale and how much he and Y Combinator encourage their students, their startups, to do things that don't scale, I thought it was a great message coming from the perfect person to deliver it. So we'll link that in the show notes. It's a great article.
Yeah.
In short, what he's talking about is if you try to automate everything, and if you try to be so hands-off at the early stages of a startup, the early stages of a business, you do yourself a disservice. Most importantly, his focus, what he talks about, is you're getting away from your customers, and you're not understanding what they're really looking for and who they are. And as you move closer to the fabled product market fit that those types of businesses require in order to be successful, you can't do that nearly as well or with nearly as high a probability if you don't rub up against your customers on a day-to-day basis constantly.
Yeah, totally. You know, the thing that I love most about Paul Graham's blog, as great as the content is and his words are just so insightful, the design looks like it's from 1995, and I don't think it has actually changed since then. He's just using like pure HTML. Like this post is ds.html. You know, I don't think there's any kind of CMS. There's no WordPress here. It's just a bunch of words on a web page.
He's kicking it old school on that site. I hope he just leaves it alone.
Yep.
Yep. But
yeah, it really is a fantastic piece, and it's gone around quite a bit in the startup community. So let's get into it. Like, how do we apply these types of ideas, doing things manually? What's kind of your philosophy here?
Right. So if we actually take a step back, instead of saying how do we apply things manually, I guess the real first question is why do we do these things manually? And for me, it's really about two things. The first thing is constraints. So most of us listening on this podcast don't have big teams, right? I work by myself, and I have a business partner who's a developer, designer, all the coding. So my biggest constraint is his time. He's got a full-time gig and can't put in, a normal 40, 50-hour work week, and so that constraint has led a lot of the decision-making process on what should we build versus what should we not build. And it's almost been a good thing, right? And that leads to the second reason that we do a lot of these things manually, is that's to focus on the right things. If you try to make your product perfect and automated and scalable, if you try to focus too much on that in the beginning, then you don't get to market fast enough. You don't talk to people quickly enough. You don't build up the systems based on real feedback. So constraints and focus, I think, are the real reasons that we end up doing things manually. Yeah, and a lot of these things aren't going to stay manual. They're going to become automated. But I think it's interesting for us to talk about what we do manually and why. So what about you, Brian?
Yeah, totally. I mean, just thinking high level here, I do think that there's the question of like things to do manually in the very beginning, and that you plan to automate or plan to build software around or whatever later on, versus things to do manually always. And there are a few distinctions there, but I think in the beginning, one of the reasons that I did a lot of things manually, as a bootstrapper, is just saving time and saving money and trying to prioritize the things that I should be working on and spending most of my time on, and that is, getting the very first customers in the door, making sure that at least the core features of the product are built out as we have those customers coming in. But like you said, it really comes down to prioritizing it and choosing what to focus on and what not to focus on. And actually, looking back on Restaurant Engine, I can point to a few things where I did build in too much automation in the beginning, and I could have been much farther along, much faster if I hadn't. And in fact, if you do, because I know that there's so many developers out there, a lot of developers listening to this who, your first notion is to go code something up. You have an idea, or even if you get a little bit of a customer feedback, yeah, I can go build that feature and have it done over the weekend. You got to be careful about that because, for example, on Restaurant Engine, I was very excited about the idea of having a totally do-it-yourself system for people to come to our website, sign up, have their website created for them. They're automatically subscribed in our Stripe billing account. and they can start creating their own site, and we can be completely hands off. People look at Restaurant Engine, and that's kind of the impression that they get, like, oh wow, this thing is like, it's magic. It just works on its own. And you know what? In the very beginning, I spent 6 months working with a developer, and I spent lots of money and time developing that system, and it worked, and it still works beautifully. But what I learned over the past year, or over the first year of Restaurant Engine, was the more we do the manual process, talking to customers and then manually setting up their websites for them instead of them doing it themselves, the more likelihood they're not going to cancel, they're going to stay subscribed. That also gets more customers to sign up faster. So looking back, we could have just not built any of that automation. And today we still kind of use it, but we kind of don't. Like, we don't even really use a lot of the automation that we already built. So you got to be careful in the beginning. Like, you can even if you have the ability to develop, if you have the chops to code something up, you might be building the wrong thing. You'll never know until you really get the customer feedback.
Yeah, that is such a great example. I mean, you could have launched with a marketing site, and then when someone signed up, you could have like gone to a host and set up a host and installed WordPress and installed a theme, and really, I mean, that would have been as productized of a service as you could get.
Yeah, exactly. And we are, for the WordPress developer geeks out there, we are using WordPress multi-site. We still could have used WordPress multi-site, and we still are today. We didn't need to build all the automation of like automatically creating your site, automatically subscribing you to Stripe. I mean, in fact, at least half of our customers who sign up, we actually sign them up over the phone. Like, they tell us their credit card info, and we type it in for them.
Yeah, and I think both of us, you'll see us squirm a little bit if you're watching on video. Some of these things are kind of embarrassing, but I also think we should be proud of them at the same time. Like, every time you say, yes, I take people's credit cards over the phone, I see, in my mind, I'm like, you're just doing business, baby. You're not. The web is just the tool. Yeah, every time I hear the phrase, I've been working on this for 6 months, I'm about to launch, can you tell me what you think? Like, my heart breaks. It breaks, and I just want to cry. Every time I read something on Reddit or something on Facebook, a group that I'm in or something, because I know what are the chances that you got it right? What are the chances that you actually got it right without talking to people and seeing how they want to do things? I think there's virtually no chance, nothing that you should actually rely on.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get specific, right? Let's expose ourselves here and our shame to the web community. As long as we're laughing on the bank, it's cool.
I don't know if I wouldn't go that far, but at least not yet. Anyway.
Eventually.
So yeah, I mean, customer acquisition. Did we kind of already cover that, or I guess not yet?
I think it's worth mentioning.
Yeah. Like, what's your system for acquisition right now?
Yes, this is one of the things that people, even after they build something, they say to themselves, "Uh-oh, how do I get customers?" And then a lot of times they just follow what is happening around them and what the zeitgeist is pointing them toward, which is, I need to launch a blog, I need to write content, I need to write guest posts, I need to build an email list, I need to do webinars, and I need to build an audience, and all this stuff that they see other people doing successfully, and they think that's the only way to do it. I was very inspired by a few people. James Kennedy from Pi-hole TV did a phenomenal Mixergy interview on using the phone to close customers.
I learned so much from that one.
So good, so good. I've emailed him before and said, dude, thank you so much for this. So we talk a little bit. Brian Kreutzberger from Breakthrough Email, who has that appropriate person email template, also a Mixergy interview. And then Aaron Ross, that wrote a book on called Predictable Revenue, on how he built up outbound sales at Salesforce. So I basically just inhaled those three philosophies and just combined them into my own little thing. So
we'll link those up in the show notes for this.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah, it's Pi-hole TV, James Kennedy's interview, it's Brian Kreutzberger's Breakthrough Email, and it is Aaron Ross's Predictable Revenue. So when I launched CardHook, and I said, okay, this thing works. Now I need to talk to people and ask them to give me their credit card information. I just wanted the shortest path. So what I did was, I'll just give you all the details. CardHook integrates with certain e-commerce platforms, not all of them. So what I did is I found a company. I said to myself, how am I going to reach my real targets, right? The people who can actually integrate, that I don't have to build new integrations for every time I talk to them. So I found a company called BuiltWith, and they scour the internet to look for different technologies used by different sites. And what they were able to do was give me a list of people, of websites that use Volusion. So Volusion's one of the first ones that we integrated with. Right now we have Magento and WooCommerce and all these other things, but we started off with Volusion. I went there, I downloaded a list of like 15,000, and then I chopped them up into Excel. I sent it over to a VA in the Philippines, and I told her, here's the process. Go to the website, find an email address, ideally find a name and email address, so it's not just info@store.com, that it's brian@store.com. Mm-hmm. Put it into the Excel spreadsheet and send it over to me when you're done. So pretty manual, but as leveraging outsourcing. Then once I got the Excel sheet, I put that into Tout app. This is where my automation comes in. I put it into Tout. I created an appropriate person email template, like Brian Kreuzberger suggests, and then I just started hammering 50 emails a day. And Tout allows you to send 50 at once, so it's not that manual, but it's still me going into Tout app and punching the stuff in and uploading the Excel sheet, and then people would just reply and say, what's the deal? Tell me more. And then I would get them on the phone, and I'd tell them, I'd pitch them, and then they would start the free trial, and then I'd convert them to paid. It was phone, email, Excel sheets, Tout app, Odesk, all this stuff, a lot of doing stuff. No content, no blog. The truth is, I didn't even need a website. Most of these people didn't even ask what the website. I didn't put a link to the website on the email, nothing. I just offered a solution to a problem I knew that they were having. People responded, and that is how I got my first 15 paying clients.
That's awesome. And so
real dirty and really effective.
Yeah. So how long have you been running that strategy?
I ran it for the first 3 months pretty consistently, and I have since taken off maybe the past 3 months, and I'm about to fire that baby back up bigger and badder in September. That's one of the things I'll be talking about over the next few weeks in terms of the CardHook marketing development.
Awesome.
I just see, sure, I'm going to build out the blog and email lists and all that. I just see no reason to stop that.
Yeah.
It's just straightforward. You send out emails, you get clients.
Yeah, totally. That is awesome. One thing that we're doing, very much manual on the customer acquisition front is we're not really doing much outbound cold calling or emailing the way that you just described, but we do pretty well with content and inbound and a lot of organic traffic coming to our site. So instead of pushing all those people straight to our sign-up form, which I used to, about a year or so ago, we switched that to kind of funneling them into request a consultation. They just fill out a form, give us a little bit of info about them and their restaurant and everything, and then we call them up. And for a while, I did all those consultation calls. I did them for a year or so, and like I said in the beginning, I have an employee who now handles all that, and she's been fantastic with it. And so nearly every single customer who comes in, we've spoken to over the phone at least once, sometimes 2 or 3 times, and it just really helps to solidify the sign up, and then it also translates into a long-time customer. Most of these customers don't cancel.
When you start a relationship off the bat and you talk and show your expertise as the beginning of the relationship, and we'll talk about this a little later, but much higher conversion and much higher retention rate. Yeah, and people, I talk to people who are like, I don't know what to do with my conversion rate. People are going through the funnel, they're getting to the sales page, they're not buying, they're not signing up, they're not starting the free trial. Just short circuit that. Brian, I think what you did there is brilliant, and it's difficult to acknowledge. You could say, oh, I need to change the marketing copy, or you could just say, these people want to talk. and I have more success when they talk. So instead of offering something that too few of them take, why don't I just offer what they want? If they want to do it this way, they want to do a consultation. Yeah, I love the sales funnel that's automated all the way up until the consultation. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, totally. And recently we've built in more automated things that run in the background. Like we have like a video tour that they could watch that kind of warms them up before we speak. We've got like automated emails that send out in the background while we're doing these phone calls and personal email follow-ups and whatnot. And those taken together, they really work. And okay, so that works for getting customers, but I think the real golden part of all this is the feedback. You're in touch with your customers. You're hearing their objections, and when you hear the same objection 10 times over the course of 2 months, that's when you know what you need to fix. And so many people who launch a SaaS product or launch any kind of product, and they're struggling to get customer number 1, number 2, number 3, the question is, why are these customers not signing up? Why are they not buying? You've got to find out. You got to talk to them.
Only way to find out. At least it's the best way to find out.
Yep. So I guess the next section that we have here is beyond customer acquisition. Now we're talking about onboarding. So someone has decided to sign up. What's next? What do we handle manually from there?
Right, and I think it's a good transition. Right, you just started talking about your process of automated assets being delivered and softening someone up and warming them up and providing them value and then getting them on the phone. So why don't you just walk us, continue on with that process, walk us through what happens, how you onboard someone, how you get them into the free trial, or what happens after that consultation.
Yeah, so we do have an automated sign-up form. People can. What we usually do is we'll send like a follow-up email after a call, and in that email we'll say, okay, when you're ready to get the ball rolling, here's the link to open your account. Maybe half the people click that link, and then they'll go ahead and sign up, and we'll recognize them when they do sign up because we've spoken to them, or we'll actually sign them up over the phone and take their information over the phone and open their account for them. Basically, we just go to our own sign-up page and we enter the information for them.
Okay.
From there, we hand it off to our support team, and currently that's 2 people. And I'll receive the email notification that someone signed up, and it has kind of their basic account information that they entered. I'll forward that email into our support system, which we use Help Scout, and that kind of creates the initial ticket. And then I'll also I'll manually tell my teammates in Slack. Slack is our kind of a team chat room. I'll say, hey, just got a new sign up. This is the restaurant name. It's in Help Scout. Go ahead and initiate their website setup. So, Restaurant Engine is a little bit unique from other SaaS apps because we do a manual setup process. We'll actually set up their website for them. We enter all their food menus and photos and get their logo, customize their colors. We'll connect their domain name. We do all of that work for the customer. It's done for you. So my team, within a couple of hours, sometimes if it's over the weekend, it might wait a day or 2, they need to manually send an email to the brand new customer who just signed up, say, hey, thanks for signing up. Let's get your website started. Here is the list of things that we need from you. You can send us your menu. A PDF or a Word doc is just fine. If you've got a Facebook page, send us that. If you've got an old website, send us that. It's just a templated email list of things that we always ask for. Along with that, Ashley or myself, whoever spoke to the customer, will kind of forward along any other information that they gave us, add it to the Help Scout ticket. So all this, we're interacting manually internally between the team, and we're also interfacing with the client, and then over the next, sometimes as fast as 3 to 5 days, usually 1 to 2 weeks, we do a couple back and forth over email with the client. My support team is basically handling that. Capturing all their content, putting it into the website, getting them launched. So that's kind of our onboarding process, and it's almost entirely manual.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And I mean, look, that's the way restaurant owners work. Then make it as streamlined as possible, but work that way. One key thing I wanted to ask though, I'm assuming they're not signing up for a free trial, right? That you're not initiating all this work internally until you have some type of a monetary commitment.
Yeah, we no longer have a free trial. We used to in the beginning, but now we require the setup. It's kind of mandatory for all customers now, so they do pay when they sign up.
So there's a setup fee, and I guess that tests the commitment and shows you that someone's actually going to get it done. I'm sure it's motivating for them too to actually get it done.
Yeah, exactly. It's the setup fee. It kind of covers our costs of setting them up, and it also like you said, it is that commitment on the customer's end that, okay, they've decided on Restaurant Engine, they're going to pay for it now, and we'll get started. That setup fee, it's pretty low compared to the cost of hiring a web designer. It's only, as of today, it's only $199. What we say is like that covers your first month of service as well. So your monthly service doesn't begin until 30 days later.
Right, and they must be happy with that. And at the same time, for you guys, it's a little bit of money up front, but the lifetime value is what you have your eye on, and just getting them onboarded properly and getting their website set up, in under 2 weeks. Now you have a customer for a while.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, beautiful. So it's worth it on both sides.
So let's see, what else do you have here on?
Yeah, I've got my own little onboarding process, and there's something I do. So onboarding, okay, I have 2 stages. I have before the person's launched and after. So, right, CartHook is an abandoned cart application, so it's essentially launching an abandoned cart email campaign. And in order to do that, you have to set things up on your site so it's integrated on your site. You have to set up the templates, which are very easy, and I have pre-built all the content into the templates, and we upload the logo for them, all these things that just make it super, super easy for them to say, yeah, looks good, go. So up until that point, that's the most critical piece right there. Anybody who actually launches their campaign, I think my conversion to paid is like, it's got to be over 90%. I can't even think of someone who launched the campaign and didn't end up turning into a customer. But if we lose them there, then we lose them. So that's where I pay the most attention, and that's where I get very manual, and I say, thank you so much for signing up. Here is what we need. I'll get your logo set up, and it's not that I push. I boogie, man. I don't sleep on it. I set my reminders in one-page CRM for the next day constantly. So I just push to make sure they have whatever they need, and I straight up offer over email. If you want me to write your email content for you, I will. It's already pre-written in there. If you want me to go in there and just change your phone number and email, you tell me what color your button you want to, I offer to do everything for them. I log into their account, I make the changes, I hit save, and then I email them and I say, are you good to launch? Because things look good. And they say, sure. So that's that very critical piece. And then once they're launched, this is where I built up a little system, and it's super easy. It's just weekly reminders from the day that they launch the campaign. And then I have a Gmail template that I open up and I say, okay, this person's been up for a week, and I send weekly updates to everyone in a free trial. I say, hi, Joe, hope you're doing well. Just wanted to give you a quick update after 1 week of running CartHook. Here are the numbers. 58 abandoned carts, 6 recovered carts, $484.16 in recovered revenue. You're off to a great start. I'll be back in touch next week with another update. Cheers, Jordan. And I send that email once a week, and they just see the numbers go from $100 the first week to $400 to $800 to $1,600 recovered. So by the time their free trial is over, they've got an email from me once a week with updates on how much money they're making. And then when I ask them, hey, do you have time today to talk? Because I'd like to discuss, your free trial is just about over. I'd like to discuss you joining as a customer. They've heard from me. They know the progress. They know how much money they're making. The conversation's a piece of cake.
Oh man, that is amazing. The way you set it up like that. I mean, it's so these numbers, all manual, but those numbers
can be automated.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, those are things that are like in their dashboard, right?
It's in their dashboard, but I'm not going to wait for them to log in and look at it. I'm going to giddy up and get out there and let them know how much value we're adding, so that when I say, hey, it's time to become a paid customer, the pricing is no lose. They just say, okay, the conversation's a piece of cake because I've done enough to show them how much value we're providing them.
By the way, are you capturing credit card information at the beginning of the trial or when they upgrade to paid?
Only when they upgrade. And theoretically, I believe that more often than not, capturing the credit card up front is good. In my situation, I just could not end up there. My logic did not lead to getting it up front because I know, because it's quantifiable, our value, we know how much money we recovered for them, that I just need to get as many people in there as possible just to show them how much money we're making, because I knew if people saw how much money they were making, they were going to convert. So that that hypothesis has been proven right, and so I'm not about to change anything.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. And in general, I usually tell people you should capture the credit card up front, and the reason for that is, you're kind of the biggest hurdle to get over, getting them to go get their credit card. Sometimes it's like even in like another room, they got to go grab it, entering all the numbers, and decide like, yes, I'm doing this. That's the biggest hurdle to get it over. If you can do that up front and then later on have them kind of convert into paid, that's ideal. But I think in your case, yeah, I mean the return on the value proposition and the fact that you're just manually emailing it to them every week, like, look, I'm putting money in your pocket for you. Here you go. It's like,
yes, my name is Jordan from CardHook, and I'm the guy that keeps putting money in your pocket. When I ask you for your credit card number, it's going to make sense.
Right.
Yep. So that
awesome.
Right, and that can be automated, and it will be when it makes sense to automate it. When I am so overwhelmed with telling people how much money they're making so often that I have to automate it, that's the time to automate it. Not quite yet.
Yeah, totally.
So very similar to your acknowledgement of, hey, it's better off if we just call them and set the site up for them. Yeah, these are the things that I don't think people should be afraid of doing, man. This works.
Totally. So let's see, like the next section that we have here is kind of payment and billing.
Right, so we've gone through a little bit of marketing, customer acquisition, we've talked about onboarding, and now, okay, it's time to get paid. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how things are handled on the billing side? What do you have automated and what's not automated?
Yeah, so I mean, we've been using Stripe since the very beginning, and so that to a certain extent has been pretty automated. They're kind of on a subscription in Stripe. A few things are done manually. I guess I'll cover the dunning emails first. So for a while, I think at least a year and a half there, the dunning emails, and by the way, for those who don't know, dunning is when when a credit card expires or when a credit card payment fails, you need to send them an email like, hey, looks like your payment failed this month. We need you to update to a working credit card. I was doing those manually. I did have, in our custom app, I did have a notification sent to me when a failed payment happened. And when I get that notification, I have to go look up the customer's information in Stripe, send them a personal email. I had like a canned response, but then I would manually put in like, okay, it looks like your card ending in 4 digits has failed. Here's the procedure for logging in and updating your info. I would have to manually send that like 2, 3, 4 times, and to get people to update. And then if they don't after the 4th one, then I would have to actually call them up. That was the way I did it just from Gmail for the first like year and a half. Then I started using a service called Be Stunning.
Right.
And I'll link that up in the show notes. Really awesome service. It's in a way it's kind of similar to yours because it does kind of save me money, or actually helps me get paid faster and not delayed, right? So that automatically integrates with Stripe, and it will automatically send. Like I can set up the email templates. It'll automatically send a customer an email if they have a failed payment. If their credit card is about to expire, it'll send those out automatically. But still, after 3 of those send out, sometimes customers just kind of fall off the map, and their account is, they haven't paid up. So I do need to call them up manually and get that straightened out. And a lot of times it's a matter of taking their updated credit card information over the phone, logging into Stripe, updating their profile in Stripe, and then manually clicking, okay, let's pay that invoice, and okay, we're good.
Right. And Be Stunning that also allows them to click on the link to go update the credit card information themselves very easily. Is that right?
You know, I think now they have that ability, and I haven't set that up yet. I've been kind of meaning to. Instead, in the emails, I just say, look, please go ahead and log in. Here are the steps. Step 1, log in here. If you forgot your password, click here. Step 2, click my account. Step 3, click update. But like I make it like so easy, you know.
Yeah, you have to. Ideally, it's just a link and put in your credit card info, but
yeah,
that works too.
Yeah.
It's amazing how often credit cards get switched out. I don't really understand. You know, I don't have that many clients. I feel like it happens constantly. I got a new card. We got a new card. I got to update the card. Expiration date. It's like, damn, man.
You know, it's funny. Like some months they happen in waves, and there's no telling why this happens. But sometimes a whole 30 days will go by and there are no issues, and then other times in a matter of 2 weeks we've got like 10 customers who have credit card issues. It's like
giant pain.
Yeah, it really is. The other thing is customer cancellations. Now, this is something that I highly recommend. This is one of those things that I think that you should just never automate. I'll go ahead and say, like, unless you have thousands and thousands of customers, maybe it makes sense. But for a long time there, I think it's really important to just do this manually. So there are two details about this. Number one, so we have a form in their account where they can request a cancellation. And we have a required field, tell us why. Why are you canceling? I've even heard of some apps who require, like, you have to write at least like 100 characters or something. It's like you have to really give us some details, right? We don't
do
that.
F you enter.
Right. Exactly. You know, we don't do that. But I have, like, I'll get that as an email in my inbox, and then I'll just reply to that because maybe they'll say something like, oh, you know, because the site wasn't mobile, and of course we do give them a mobile site. So I'll reply to that and be like, well, you know, in case you're not aware, we do give you a fully mobile optimized site, all this stuff. Like, I try to get into a dialogue with them. I almost always try to get into a dialogue and try to follow. I'll even, when somebody tells me they want to cancel or there's some kind of issue, that's like a huge opportunity to really dig in and figure out, oh, what went wrong, or maybe they'll say, like, well, we chose another provider. Oh yeah, who'd you choose? What was the difference? What was kind of the deciding factor? I'd love to know that. You know, and I'll say, like, it would really help us out so that we can improve our system. I appreciate that, and that usually gets them to at least tell us why. Once it's certain that they're definitely canceling, and sometimes it's pretty clear they just need to cancel, and that's not a problem, right? We'll go ahead and manually delete them from Stripe, manually, you know, deactivate their website and their account.
Do you keep it around in case they want to come back?
Our policy is 30 days. If they cancel, we will deactivate the site, so it goes offline, but we still have it in our system. We'll keep it there for 30 days. If they don't reactivate in 30 days, then it's permanently deleted.
Right. I mean, a restaurant without a website up that's painful. Yeah, it makes sense to keep it for a while.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if their account is not paid, then, you know, that goes back to the Dunning thing as well. And, you know, it says in like the fourth email or so that, like, look, if we don't resolve this, your website is going to go offline. You know, I mean, I try to be a little bit flexible and understanding with our customers, of course. But if they completely fall off the face of the earth, then it's like, it sounds like their account is going to be canceled.
Yeah, and there is a downside. I think that's a great policy on the cancellations. I don't see what you possibly have to lose by implementing that policy of forcing people to just explain a little bit and then try to get into a dialogue.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to be a jerk and not let people cancel when they want to cancel, but that's never the intention. Yeah. Right? The intention is to just find out more. Yeah, it's a huge opportunity. If somebody is willing to go out as far as canceling, you need to figure out why.
Yep.
Cool. So this is my dirty secret. Okay. This is a little embarrassing. A web app software plug-in super email thing that does not have any online payment processing is kind of funny. Now, look, I use Stripe. It's just not connected to anything. So after that email, after I talk to someone and say, hey, you know, are you ready to join as a customer? And they say yes, I say, cool, here's a PDF that has, like, I put their name on it, and a little logo, and I write the date that we kind of agreed on our arrangement, sort of thing, and then it's just like it details their plan, and then it's just credit card info, first name, last name, address, credit card, expiration, and it's just a PDF, and I just say, email this back to me or give me a call and I'll take it over the phone. And that's it. That's my only form of taking payment. There's nothing on the back end. There is no ability for them to input their credit card anywhere.
Huh.
And only once did somebody say something. Once. Of all the people that have signed up and given me their credit card address, nobody cares. And I guarantee that people listening think it's funny, and whatever negative things people think about me, the customers, they just don't care. If you're solving a problem, let alone making the money, they just don't care about that sort of thing. And it's one of the things that I convinced myself before launching was necessary.
Well, I mean, that's something that I hear Rob Walling talk about all the time, I think with Drip, how in the early days, I don't know if he's still doing this. I think it's probably automated now, but, like you, he was in contact with his subscribers during the free trial, and like, okay, looks like you're getting a lot of value out of this. We're going to go ahead and charge you, and then like manually click and charge you.
Right. Yeah, it's not a necessity. It's something that does not need to be automated, and it will be automated. Right? It's one of these things that's okay. Who cares about the pain it's giving now? Instead of investing all this time thinking through, and Stripe's great, but our requirements with the 10% of recovered revenue thing capped, it's a little complicated. So to go spend a few $1,000s on development time, and that's just not where I should even be focusing right now. When it gets out of hand, then then I'll get it done.
That's the technical hurdle there. I wasn't totally aware of that. I think listeners might not be aware of the way CardHook works. It's not exactly like a flat monthly subscription. It's a percentage of the recovered revenue.
Yeah. So now we're getting into my real dirty secrets. And if you're a competitor of mine, shut the thing down. It's not cool if you listen to this. I was going to say, if you're, for those listening, if you're just have like a standard, $50, $100 a month subscription in Stripe, at least now these days, Stripe offers like a really simple like form, like one line of code, drop it on your website, click here, and they can subscribe. It doesn't have to be super fancy. Yes.
Actually, when I launched Restaurant Engine, they didn't have those kind of forms, and we had to build them custom, and that was kind of a pain. But these days, it's so much easier.
Right, and that's what I would have done if it wasn't more complicated. I really think people who are just starting out don't need to even worry about it at all. Normally, someone as far along as I am, I would have it done, but because it's complicated, if there's anyone listening out there that's a really good Stripe developer, please call me. and I'll get to it when it gets out of hand. So right now, at the end of the month, I look at the recovered revenue for the month, for the previous month, and I email everybody out and I say, hey, this month you recovered, $3,144, and I'm about to charge your card $99. That's the tier they're in. They're capped at $99.
Yeah.
And then I go and I charge it. So that takes me a few hours every month, but those are some fun hours, man. I put on some gangster rap and I charge credit cards. It's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think we covered a whole lot here. I think this is only scratches the surface of the things that we do manually. Just off the top of my head during this call, where I could think of like 10 more things that we still do manually. But I think this gives some people a lot of things to work on and think about.
I think so too. And look, a lot of these things both of us want automated, and they will be automated in time. It's just that you shouldn't stop yourself from talking to people and asking people for the sale just because of these things not being automated. I think that's the big point of the the whole conversation. It's
true, and you hear it again and again on this podcast and every other podcast out there. Talk to your customers. Talk to your customers. And I remember starting out, I kind of felt like, all right, I guess I should do this. That's what everyone says I should do. I don't want to do it, but I'll just like suck it up and try to do it. Like, it's not like eat your vegetables, and like once you start doing it after a while, it makes everything like infinitely easier. it writes your sales copy for you. It identifies the exact objections and the things that you need to fix to get more customers. It's all the things that you want in the end. It just helps you get there so much faster. So
Yeah.
just get over that initial hump, and it gets so much easier from there.
Yeah. And it feels good. It feels a lot better than you think it would. You think it's going to be annoying and painful, but the truth is it's kind of fun. Talking to people about something you care about, it's fun helping people. It's fun, succeeding. It's fun, getting someone to say, yes, I will give it a try. Yes, I'll sign up. Yes, here's my credit card. That's a boost that, reading an email about someone signing up is different. It's on another level, another order of magnitude in terms of the feedback that you get in your business.
It's true. It's true. Yep. Cool. So let's kind of wrap it up here. We're going to go straight into the ending, and as always, you can dig into the backlog of episodes of Bootstrapped Web. That's at bootstrappedweb.com. And if you're enjoying this show, again, please head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it. And,
definitely check out bootstrapweb.com. Brian did a great job putting the site together, so now our humble little podcast has its own home.
That's right.
And it's a good-looking home, so thank you to Brian for that. Yeah, head over there, and if you're digging this, subscribe, get emails on when new episodes launch, and leave us a review on iTunes if you get a chance. Until next time, I'm just going to go do some manual work.
There you go. Get back to work. All right, Jordan. All right,
cheers.